Hey folks, welcome back to Manhattan. Today I want to update a video I did a few years ago in Sydney, now here, comparing 3 different portrait lenses instead of 2 that I did last time. So first off, we have the venerable 85mm lens. Today we're going to be shooting with Nikon. It's actually so great to be back with my D850s. This is the 85 1.4G. And then the 105 f1.4, this is the E variant, the latest one. And then the 70-200, much more versatile, but it's 2 stops slower than the other 2. So we're gonna see how they compare optically, what the use cases are, and which one, if you can only manage to buy one, you should be looking at first. So folks, before we jump into this, quick word, this video is brought to you by NordVPN. I've spoken to you about them before. I'm a paying customer of Nord for a couple of years now. Whenever I'm on the road, I use NordVPN to secure my phones, laptops, tablets, everything to make sure my data stays safe. Check them out at nordvpn.com/Matt Granger. You can get 70% off their 3-year deal. Use the code Matt Granger and you get an extra month for free. I also find when I'm in New York and on my own Wi-Fi where it is safe and secure, that by masking my location, I'm able to get better deals on flights and hotels. Sometimes pretending like you're in somewhere in Asia or in Europe, you get a better deal from those companies than you do showing your real location. So check it out, nordvpn.com/Matt Granger, 70% off their 3-year deal. Now, there are a couple of different use cases for these. Now, if you're in the game long enough, you'll probably end up with 2 or 3 of these lenses, not just the one. But I get it, when you're starting out, you have to prioritize and decide which one is the best one to start with. So, you enjoying that?
Yeah.
So this one's funny, it's reversed. The zoom is on the front. Normally on Nikon's it's there.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, what? Also, you need to clean it.
I already cleaned it. Is it the viewfinder or?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the viewfinder.
Is it?
DSLRs, baby. Oh, tech. What are they, schnauzers?
I can't today. Oh my God, they're so cute.
Hey, bud. Okay, so there's a bunch of different aspects that you need to think about when you're comparing lenses. First off, let's just do me not moving, Steph not moving, each of the lenses at f4 and their widest aperture so you can get a sense of the different frame you're getting without moving. So, 105. You can lean your head, that's fine. Check out the bottom corner, that's how I'm going to designate the lens and settings throughout this video. And f4. Okay, and 85. (70-200), I'll shoot this at 70, 135, and 200. Now, just a reminder, we're shooting this without moving either of us, so of course the crop is changing. I didn't move, she didn't move, we kept zooming in. So as those last pictures demonstrated, our frame changes a lot, obviously going from 70, 85, 105, 135, or 200. And at 200, staying at the same distance, zooming in, staying at f2.8, the background gets plenty soft. But the reality as a portrait photographer is your frame matters. You're not just going to change your focal length from 70 to 200 and stay put if that frame was actually working for you. So here we've got this background of the trees on either side. I'm going to pop in this little photodiox light here to give her just a little bit of fill light so she's not completely backlit. And then I'm going to keep the same frame on her from the funny belt that she's now hiding to the top of her head, and I'll move my distance from her to keep that. The point I want to demonstrate here is that even with focal length taken into account, a faster aperture, if you keep the frame the same, means a shallower depth of field. So let's set up this light. So we'll put it on this side because your shoulder's out. So for these, I'll shoot them all wide open from the belt to the head-ish. So we'll try and keep the pose-ish the same. So there at 200, that's my furthest distance. So now going to 135. Where do I need to be to keep the frame the same? That'll do. And then we'll drop this one back to 70. This will be the closest shot. Let's now put them all in order. 70mm, 85mm, 105mm, 135mm, and there we go at 200mm. Okay, back in front of Manhattan, let's talk about compression and how the elements change in size. If you want to, for example, have the buildings in the background appear bigger relative to your subject, a longer focal length is going to help you do that. So we're going to redo the test here. And another one, 85 is considered kind of a classic for portraiture and headshots. I actually think 105 is better, and the 70 to 200 is even better. Probably the ideal for replicating the shape of a face with minimal barrel or pincushion distortion is 150 to 200mm in my experience. So we're going to do both of those little tests here, and then we'll head into the studio to talk about practicality and the actual optical quality of them with some studio lights. So Steph had a quick outfit change, posed up in front of Manhattan. Here I want you to pay attention to the buildings. Now, obviously wide open, you can't even really see the buildings. But as we go back and redo it with all of the lenses fully stopped down, there you go. Check out the size of the buildings and how the background is changing relative to her as we step up through the focal lengths. The Empire State Building is so much bigger there at 200mm than it was, say, back at 70mm. Now, before heading back in studio, we just popped up the continuous light one more time, warmed up the scene a little bit, and got a series of shots trying to keep the frame relatively the same, shooting each of the lenses wide open, again from 70, 85mm, 105mm, obvious warmth differences there, 135mm, and 200. Okay folks, now in studio, when you have a background like this, the background compression or the separation isn't necessarily as much of an issue, and we have control of the light, so we really have the option to shoot at whatever aperture or focal length that we want without, as long as we're not introducing distortion. So in here, I'll try to replicate the same kind of frame on her. We'll do a couple of different variations, but I'll shoot them all at like f8, f4, and their widest aperture to see how they're comparing. And then I'll actually give you some files you can download, check the description below, and you can download them. So I've just got two simple soft boxes here, both running Nissan DIA 700 flashes. And yeah, we've got plenty of juice to work with those. We'll shoot away, see what you think. So fun little shoot, just the two lights. We tried to roughly keep it the same as we could with her laughing at us mucking around, going through and trying to keep the frame about the same as we went through these different focal lengths. Actually more tricky indoors because I kept running out of room. But let's show you them wide open and then stop down to f8 and we'll do a zoom in on each one. Okay, so fun shoot. Thank you for coming up, Steph. Yeah, now, time to talk all of the different conclusion things rather than the hands-on. Let you know if you don't know already, Steph has her own YouTube channel and they do a bunch of martial arts stuff. So as much as she's on camera, she's also often behind the camera doing filming. So for you guys, do you own an 85, 105 or 70 to 200?
No, but we do have a prime lens and we do have like a zoom lens as well. So depending on what we need to shoot, it's really dependent. Like a lot of dialogue scenes, we use, I guess, the prime, whereas for action, we use the zoom just for mobility and it's faster.
Okay, so that's, I think, a really important one. When you're tossing up what's going to work best for you, part of it is going to be your preference. Do you prefer to use a zoom or prime? But part is also going to be just what's practical. So if you guys, I know like a lot of photographers, a lot of videographers kind of working in a guerrilla way, you've got a bunch to shoot in one day, stopping every different scene to change lens adds a lot of time. And then when you're outdoors, then it adds cleaning time as well. So a zoom adds in that flexibility. As we found today, as I'm moving back and forward to try and change the frame, or to keep the frame, sorry, but as we change the lens, The practical working distance you have with your subject also makes a difference. So whilst I think for headshots a 200mm lens produces best, and probably for full length, if we were doing 200mm full length shots, I'd be screaming at her from across the room. It's not a great working relationship. The other thing is, it's again practicality. So if you go to shoot a concert and you get put in the pit, that's your spot. You're pretty limited in where you can move. So either you have different bodies and different primes, or you take along a zoom so you can get the different people on the stage as they move around and still frame up tight or wide shots on them. That's our lunch. Yeah. Okay.
He keeps slamming it. It's like, oh God. So which one do you actually use the most? That one keeps slapping it.
It's probably, I don't know, in terms of overall lifetime shots, the 85, because I've had it's the longest. Kind of like you, it's about practicality. So when I'm traveling or run and gunning, zooms are really handy, so you don't have to change so much. And the 70-200 is optically so great and so fast to focus. It's a phenomenal lens. Image quality on all of them is fantastic. I do think having the 200 for minimizing distortion is fantastic, but all of them really are so good. It's not an easy one to say you should buy this one first, and if you're in the game long enough, you're probably going to end up with all of them.
I mean, speaking of buying it, how much
are they?
are they?
Well, rather than just a number, let's talk the value, but the number, so they kind of go by size and weight. $1,600, $2,200, $2,800. That's US dollar pricing as of right now. I'll put links below that update and give you the best local prices, but it's not cheap stuff. Yeah. You're kind of paying per pound almost the way those ones play out. But something to keep in mind over there are some great used options out there as well. So this one I got from KEH, that's a used 85-1.8 on a used body, way cheaper than the brand new 85-1.4. And they do have an 85-1.8G that's in the same series as this. It doesn't have all of the same tech in it or same coatings, but it's a fraction of the price and still phenomenal. And it's a 1.8, so really give that a thought. For 105s, there's all kinds of different 105s out there. This is an old manual one you can get for like $50. We've done a video on this before. They also have the 105 macro, the 105 DC, and they have other 105 autofocus lenses that you can pick up used. 70-200, same, I've got right here in my Museum of Death. I have an old 70-200 that is sadly dead, and there's a lot of different ones out there. Sigma, Tamron have made great ones in the past. It's dead, so yes, it has some gunk in it.
There's like cat hair in it, okay.
Well, we have cats.
I'm just saying. It's...
Looks like Tyson. So don't write that out. And if you are going to, and I get it, I can't give you a definitive, you should buy this, because it really comes down to how you're going to shoot. The best and most useful advice I can give you is, if you have the opportunity, if you have a friend that have them, loan them for a weekend. If you don't, I would suggest renting out a 70-200. Do the kind of shooting you do, pop your photos into your computer, check the metadata and see which focal length you use the most. If you find you're using the whole range, then the zoom is going to be a great option for you. If you find you're always around 80-90 or 100 to whatever, or even 135-ish, and the extra aperture or extra image quality of the prime would be valuable to you, then go for that one. Renting might cost $100 or something, which seems like a lot of money, but if you're going to spend $2,000 on a lens, it pays to actually spend the little bit of time and money to do the research and see what's going to suit you best. I would say if you don't have that opportunity and you're open to buying used, get a used 70-200 and a used 85-1.8 is going to be a great option for you. And if you just want to burn some money right now and you don't want to think about it, the safest bet would be the 70-200. And you can also check out the Tamron G2. Fantastic lens and probably half the price of this one. I'll pop links for all of that below. So thank you again.
Yeah, no problem.
Check out the links below. You can see Steph's punchy, kicky martial arts and vlogging, and you guys do all kinds of crazy stuff I can't even keep up, but their fun channel and her Instagram as well. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're putting out about 2 to 3 photography related videos a week here. Turn on notifications and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bye.
It is chow time actually.
Yeah. Chow time.
Yesterday All my troubles seem so
Oh,
far.
what's for lunch?
Hope you're hungry. Come. Have a nice day. I didn't think I ordered
Can we
this
move
much.
the camera stuff first?
Oh, bitch,
Oh,
bitch.
my goodness.